Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We would like to welcome everyone who has joined us so far for our regular midweek program. And today we will be concluding our series on the 12 Mahajans. Um, it's been a wonderful series filled with so much nectar, and we've covered some wonderful personalities like Lord Shiva and Sukadev Goswami, Janaka Maharaj, and today our guest speaker will be His Grace Shyam Bihari Prabhu, who will be covering the personality of Yamarāja. We are very happy and excited to have His Grace Shyam Bihari Prabhu with us today. Prabhu has spoken on the series, I believe, twice, and he is always very enlivening and enlightening us with so much wonderful narrations and descriptions. So Shambhi Hari Prabhu really doesn't require any introduction because he's very well known on this platform and in this forum. So without any further ado, I would like to hand it over to Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu, if you are ready, you may please begin.
Thank you so much, Naveen Prabhu. Thank you for those kind words. I have to find a way to be deserving of those words. I first would like to thank the organizers and ISKCON Temple for giving me this chance, this opportunity to speak on this most elevated subject of the 12 Mahajanas. It is truly a very educational sessions that they hold, and we come to know about all these great sages, these great souls, how wonderful they are in the service of the Lord, and how they help the devotees of the Lord in so many different ways. So talking about them itself is a very purifying process, and to be given this opportunity to be a part of this process, I truly offer my most humble obeisances to Naveen Prabhu, Karthik Prabhu, and Rangesh Prabhu, who have been organizing this wonderful, wonderful program on behalf of ISKCON Atlanta. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-militam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Radhanath Swami Niti Namane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Dishatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. For my most humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas, and I pray that with your mercy, I'll be able to speak a few words on this most important subject matter. So in this most auspicious month of Kartik Damodar, where we all assemble to celebrate the glories of Krishna in his various leelas that are performed during the month of Kartik, starting from Sharad Purnima all the way to Govardhan Puja, Damodar Leela, and so on and so forth. So many wonderful festivities that happen in the month of Kartik. It is truly one of the most auspicious months of the year. And as the Shastras say, this month is the month of Sri Radharani. She is Vrindavaneshwari. So it is the month of Sri Radharani. And following this month is Margasirsha month, which is the month of Krishna. So Krishna's month follows Sri Radharani's month, and Radharani's month is Kartik. So Prabhupada says that in the month of Kartik, one should go to Vrindavan to get recharged. He told all his disciples that they have to go during Kartik to Vrindavan to get recharged, and then they return to their original destinations and preach Krishna consciousness. So when we go to Vrindavan to get recharged, we associate with very wonderful senior sages and devotees and sannyasis. We get to visit the dhams. We get to visit all the places where Krishna performed all his wonderful leelas. We get to visit Radharani's Parsana Dham. So Vrindavan is truly transcendental, out of this world. And so when we go to Vrindavan, we associate with great sages. Now, in this pandemic, of course, in the last 2 years, we have not been able to take this opportunity of Kartik month and go to Vrindavan. But talking about great sages itself is being in Vrindavan. Being in the association of great sages does not necessarily have to be in the Vapu form. It can be in just the Vani form itself. If you read about these great sages in the Shastras, if you talk about them, if you discuss about them, you're in Vrindavan and you get recharged. And so talking about the 12 Mahajanas is great association as far as I'm concerned. It's truly a great association. When I was told to speak on Yamarāja, at first I thought Kartik month and talk about Yamarāja. I was kind of a little hesitant. But then when I meditated upon it, I said, this is a glorious opportunity, because if we discuss the character of Yamarāja, as we know him as Dharmaraj also, that is itself so purifying. And I was happy to get this opportunity. And I was thankful, I was very grateful that if I can speak a few words in glorification of Yamarāja, then I'm sure that Shri Radharani and Krishna will both be happy, because he's not only a devotee of the Lord, he's a great Vaishnava too, a great Vaishnava, and he's a Mahajan. So it was an opportunity to please Radharani and Krishna. And so I'm grateful I got this opportunity. So now we talked about 12 Mahajans in these 12 sessions that have been going on. And these 12 Mahajans are truly great souls who are serving Krishna in various aspects. We started with Brahma, we had Narada, we had Shiva, the 4 Kumaras, Kapila Dev, the Manu, Prahlad, Maharaj Janak, Bhishma Dev, Bali, Sukadev Goswami, and today we are talking about Yamarāja, the 12th Mahajan. Each of these Mahajans are serving Krishna in amazing ways. And Yamarāja's service to Krishna is truly, truly amazing, because what he does not even get the praise for it. In fact, people are afraid to mention his name also. But he is truly serving the Lord in such a wonderful way that it's amazing. So we'll try to bring out that service that he performs for Krishna in this next few minutes that we have. And we'll try to glorify him and appreciate him for everything that he does. And maybe as a Mahajan, he can bless us so that we may be also able to serve the Lord in the same sincere way that he is serving the Lord. And he serves the Lord in so many different ways. It's not only that he is the one with the iron fist giving out punishments. No, that's not only Yamarāja. There's much more to him than just that. So first of all, we have to understand that Yamarāja is the son of Vivaswan, the sun god. He's the son of the sun god. And he's very empowered, very, very empowered. First being the son of the sun god, and then also he's very empowered. We know that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I spoke the Bhagavad Gita many, many, many millions of years back to Vivaswan, and then it came down in Parampara, right? And so Dharmaraj, being the son of the sun god, he's very well versed with all the scriptures, the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, everything he knows at the tip of his hands. And he has to know because of the responsibility that he has. And he lives his life according to these scriptures. And he also, everything he does is exactly as per the scriptures, as per the injunctions of the scriptures. So he's very, very, very well versed. So he's the son of Vivaswan, and his mother's name is Saranyu Samgya, right? He's also known, in some places it is mentioned that he's the brother of a Manu, Vivaswata Manu. And he has got a sister also who happens to be Yamuna, the Yamuna who is the beauty of Vrindavan. So we all go to Vrindavan and we take the blessings of Yamuna Devi. We may not bathe on it, but we definitely want the blessings. So we always take water from the Yamuna and sprinkle on our heads because this material world has contaminated her. But Yamuna can never be contaminated. She can never be contaminated. No matter what we do, Yamuna will always remain pure. And so we always take shelter of Yamuna ji. And so Yamuna happens to be the twin sister of Shri Yamarāja ji. And of course, so when we take blessings of Yamuna, then we get the blessings of the sun god and we get the blessings of Yamarāja as well. Now Yamarāja is also, if some of you may know, he's also the father of Yudhishthira. So you will ask, how come he's a Pandu? How come he's the father of Yudhishthira? Right? He's Dharmaraj Putra actually. So Kunti Devi had this benediction from Durvasha Muni where she could call upon any demigods. And so when she called upon Dharmaraj, sorry, when she called upon Yamaraj, then she had the son Yudhishthira. When she called upon Indra, she had the son Arjuna. And when she called on Varuna, she had the son Bhima. So all these three sons are from these three demigods. They are called the sons of these demigods. Yudhishthira from Yamaraj, Arjuna from Indra, and Bhima from Varuna. And so he is also, that is why Yudhishthira is also so strong in dharma. Everything he does is pure, following pure dharma, because he's the son of Dharmaraj himself. And so this Dharmaraj or Yamaraj, he actually resides in Pitralok. He's the king of Pitralok. He has his own residence there, and his associates, the Yamadutas, they also stay with him in Pitralok. And then as and when there is engagement, these Yamadutas are sent, and then they bring him to Yamaraj. And then Yamaraj decides on what is the future destination of these living entities, whether they go to the hellish planets, whether they are born on the earth planet, or whether they are destined for heavenly planets. So Yamaraj can make the proper decision. How does he make the proper decision? Because he's empowered. It is said that he, like the Paramatma in your heart, knows your past, present, and future. Believe it or not, Yamaraj knows your past, present, and future. He even knows that in the future, what you are going to do. So he's so empowered. And so he is empowered in this way, like the Paramatma in the heart, by the Lord, so that he can perform this particular responsibility that has been given to him. And his judgments are always perfect, except once. We'll come to that one time when things became a little topsy-turvy. But Yamaraj always makes the perfect judgment for everyone. No one can say that I was treated unfairly. There's no bias there, right? There's no color there. There's no country there. There's no differentiation. For Yamaraj, every living entity is the same. So his judgments are always perfect. And so it's said that Prajapati Daksha, he had 60 daughters from his wife a Shikni. And out of that, 10 daughters he gave in charity to Yamaraj. So he gave 10 daughters to Yamaraj. So Yamaraj is not only a Mahajan, he is also a great Vaishnava. And it's said, believe it or not, that he's a very good-looking devotee. Believe it or not, he's a very good-looking devotee. Yamaraj of all, but he's a very good-looking devotee. I read this, I was kind of astonished, but yes, because he's a demigod. He's not only Yamaraj, but he's also a demigod. In fact, when the Samudra Manthan happened, Vishnu had that whole episode of drawing nectar from the ocean. In fact, Yamaraj was also involved with the demigods. He was actually involved in also fighting the demons with the demigods. He was serving the Lord in that role. So he was also part of that. And it is said he is such a great devotee of the Lord, he loves to be invited to kirtanas and sacrifices. He really loves to be invited by the pure devotees to kirtanas and sacrifices. And that is why when the rishis of Naimisharanya, they perform these big sacrifices under Shaunaka Rishi, they always invite Yamaraj. They invite Yamaraj so that he can also participate in it. That's how much respect he gets from all his all the other demigods. And I already mentioned that he's omnipotent. Like Brahma, he is omnipotent. So he is all aware. He knows every living entity. He knows their past, present, and future. And he can decide on all, he can make judgments on all the activities of a living entity and decide what is the best judgment that he needs to pass on them. So the one thing though is that Yamaraj has a certain department of activities. He is only limited to living entities who are sinful. Please remember this. He has no jurisdiction over devotees of the Lord. He has no jurisdiction. In fact, he instructs the Yamadutas that always keep away from the devotees. Always be very respectful to them. Absolutely, you have no reason to go anywhere close to any devotee. So a devotee of the Lord does not fall within the jurisdiction of Yamaraj. Secondly, the living entities who are not in the human form, that means they are other species of life, they do not fall under the jurisdiction of Yamaraj either, because they do not have reasoning power, they live by instinct and they live by their nature, right? So in the other living forms, all their karmas are basically akarmas because they are not accruing any karma. They are living basically by nature. And then after they complete this whole cycle of 8,400,000 species, then when they come to their human form, at that time they take that body based on the karmas that are left over from when they were in the last human form. And they had fallen down into the lower species of life. So they go through all of this. And now when they again become qualified to take the human birth, then based on those, they get that kind of birth they get. So they do not fall under Yamaraj either. So the only people that the living entities, it is said, who fall under the jurisdiction of Yamaraj are those who are sinful. Krishna says that my devotees, I take away all their sin, right? So that is the reason why Yamaraj has no jurisdiction over the devotees of Krishna or Vishnu or Narayana. It doesn't matter because Krishna, they're all Krishna. So the devotees do not fall under Yamaraj, right? And so Yamaraj has no jurisdiction over them. And as a result, devotees should never fear Yamaraj. Prabhupada says clearly that devotees have no reason to fear Yamaraj. In fact, they should respect him as a Vaishnava. They should actually treat him like a devotee of the Lord, right? And be very respectful to him, right? There is no reason to fear Yamaraj. Because Krishna says, even one who has chanted once also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, even one who chants one time also the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, he is a Vaishnava. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu keep raising the bar, but he started off by saying that one who chants Hare Krishna is a Vaishnava. And so, even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that Swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So, even a small devotional service done for the pleasure of Krishna will take away this greatest fear of falling down into the lower species of life. So, you get another chance at the human birth. So, that's the reason why one who is a devotee of the Lord, he cannot come under the jurisdiction of Yamaraj, because Yamaraj has no say in it. Krishna takes over. A devotee falls directly into the hands of Krishna. Krishna is the one who decides what is the fate of the devotee. Now, some of you may know that when Ravana was on this planet, he was causing a lot of terror. He was killing the Brahmanas. He was stopping all kinds of worship of Lord Vishnu. So at that time, Narada Muni wanted to somehow divert Ravana from this kind of atrocities. And so Narada Muni told Ravana that, life is so temporary. Every one of us are going to lose our lives sometime. So if you really want to be eternal, you should go and fight with Yamaraj. You should go and fight with Yamaraj. He's the one who gives death to everyone. He's time. He's Kala, right? He gives. So you should go and fight with Ravana. It was Ravana. You should go and fight with Yamaraj. And Ravana thought about it and said, yeah, he should be a good adversary for me. So Ravana decided that he is going to go and fight with Yamaraj. And so in his Pushpaka Vahan, in his aeroplane, if you want to name it that way, he was flying and he flew down to the hellish planets, the 28 hellish planets that are under Yamaraj. And he saw all these Yamadutas. He saw them torturing all different living entities based on their sins and all. But nowhere could he find Yamaraj there, because Yamaraj stays in Pitralok. So he thought that if I start destroying these Yamadutas, if I start killing these Yamadutas, that will bring the Yamaraj over here, and then I'll get the opportunity to fight Yamaraj. And so he started actually with his demons, he descended and he started actually killing these Yamadutas. There was a lot of battle between them, and he started killing. And Yamaraj, of course, came to know about it. And so Yamaraj came there, and there was a battle between Ravana and Yamaraj. And Ravana was trying his best to kill Yamaraj, but it's not possible to kill Yamaraj. It's not possible. And Ravana could not understand that with all his powers, why he is not able to kill Yamaraj. And so it is said that Yamaraj took his bow, which was the most powerful bow, and he was about to kill Ravana. But at that time, Brahma came in front of him, and Brahma told him, no, you cannot kill Ravana, because Ravana is not destined to die in your hands. So you must leave him. You cannot kill Ravana. And so hearing this from Brahma, because Brahma had already given the benediction to Ravana, so hearing this, he put his bow down. Yamaraj put his bow down and he left that place. And Ravana felt that he had achieved victory. He felt that this Yamaraj got scared of him and he ran away. And so Ravana returned back to his Sri Lanka, right? But Yamaraj could have destroyed Ravana at that time if Brahma had not intervened, because Yamaraj is very powerful. He cannot be killed. That's the benediction he has. That is, he's eternal. He is the eternal associate of the Lord, and he's always serving the Lord in this way. Another story is that when Hiranyakashipu lost his brother Hiranyaksh, at that time the Hiranyaksh body was lying in front of his family, and they were all mourning very loudly. They were mourning. And Hiranyakashipu, being a demon, he was also very well versed in the scriptures. And so he was actually giving knowledge to his family that one should not grieve over the dead. Everything is temporary and everyone has to leave his body. So it's okay. All right. So he was actually preaching to his family. And so he recites one story in which he talks about there was a king in a kingdom called Suyagya. His name was Suyagya, and he was in a state known as Ushinara, right? And so this king, one time when he went to war, he was killed, and his body also was lying in front of his family. And so this family also was mourning the death of this king. They were saying, now that you're dead, how are we going to survive? What's going to happen to us? You are a protector, you are a provider, and all that kind of things they were talking about. So at that time, their crying actually reached Pitralok, and Yamaraj got to hear their mourning. And it is said Yamaraj actually came as a little boy, and he came to instruct them. As a little boy, he came to instruct them. And so when this boy came in to instruct them, they were all very attentive. That is such a small boy. We want to hear what he says. So he tells them, you're also foolish that you're lamenting, but you're not seeing your own death. You're lamenting about someone who's already dead, and you're not seeing your own death, right? You do not know that if you lament, how much ever you may lament for your husband, he's not going to come back, no matter what you do, right? In the meantime, if you keep lamenting, your own lives will be finished. So please stop this lamenting. So Hiranyakashipu glorified Yamaraj. Being a demon, he glorified Yamaraj, that Yamaraj actually came and gave this beautiful instruction about how one should not lament when one leaves the body. In fact, it is said when a devotee leaves his body, it is glorious. It's a festival, actually. We don't celebrate it, but actually we're supposed to celebrate because it's the return of that soul back to his original home, back to the spiritual world, back into the service of the Lord. In this material world, we're just struggling from birth to birth, going from one form to another. So it's actually being freed from this whole cycle of birth and death. And that's a great thing for any living entity. That's a great thing. And so one should actually celebrate. And so Yamaraj actually propagates this message that one should not lament. One should actually be happy that that soul has moved on to a higher destination, right? So Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksh, when he was killed by the Lord. So he achieved liberation, as you all know. So that's the reason why one should not lament, because he went on to a better destination. And the same way any devotee passes away, we feel the loss, no question, because we lose association of that devotee. We feel the loss, and it's natural for us. We're not stones. We have emotions. It's natural for us to feel some kind of sorrow, some kind of separation. But really, deep down, we should have the understanding that this is a good thing. This is a festival. This is really something to celebrate, that a soul who was dedicated to Krishna consciousness has returned back home, back to Godhead. And so Yamaraj is actually propagating this message. Another time, even Krishna had access, I shouldn't say access because he's Swayam Bhagwan, when Krishna was wanting to reward his guru for all the knowledge and for being in the Gurukul with him, he asked him that, please tell me, what can I give you in return for what you've given me? So what you've given me is priceless, but I want to give you something as a token of my gratitude. And so Sandipani Muni asked for his son who had died some years back. And so it is said that Krishna actually went to Yamaraj and asked for the son of his guru. And immediately Yamaraj granted Krishna's wish and gave the son back. And Krishna was able to bring the son back to, his guru. So In this way, Yamaraj is actually serving the Lord in so many different ways. We know that one time Yamaraj was cursed. He was cursed by Manduka Muni uh, to become a Shudra. And because he was cursed to become a Shudra, he had to take birth as Vidura. If you all know, in the famous Mahabharata, also mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, is the great personality Vidura, who was Yamaraj, incarnation of Yamaraj. So it is said that Yamaraj actually was very much longing to serve the Lord in some way. He was very much feeling deprived of devotional service to the Lord. And it is said that it was the mercy of Krishna that caused that curse to come upon him, so that he would get the opportunity to participate in Krishna's pastime as Vidura. So it was really the mercy of Krishna, seeing his devotees so sincere in wanting to perform some devotional service for his Lord. Krishna granted that wish, it is said. And it was really on the surface, it appears that he was cursed, Yamaraj was cursed, but actually the curse was a blessing, because he got to be Vidura. He could take birth as Vidura, the brother of Dhritarashtra and Pandu. And so while he was as Vidura, it is said that he got to preach, if you want to use that word, to his brother Dhritarashtra. He actually saved Dhritarashtra, who was totally materialist. He was a complete materialist. And time after time, Vidura would advise him. He would advise Dhritarashtra that what he was doing was not right. And finally, when Dhritarashtra had lost everything, he had lost his family, he had lost his kingdom, he had lost everything. At that time, he listened to Vidura. And he left home, he went and performed austerities. With Vidura, he left home, he went and performed austerities. And we know that he achieved liberation at the end. So Vidura actually was responsible for saving Dhritarashtra. And Vidura also has another very important role that he played for Lord Krishna. If you'll remember, when Krishna was speaking to Uddhava, at the end, when he was about to leave the planet, at that time Maitreya Rishi was also there. The message that was shared by Krishna with Vidura was also heard by Maitreya Rishi. And there was a purpose for that. We know that Uddhava went to Badrika ashram so that he would share the message of Krishna with the sages there. But Maitreya Rishi had a significant role to play, because of which he was present there when Krishna spoke that message. And Vidura, while he was traveling, when he was touring, when the war was going on, he left the home of of Dhritarashtra, and he was going to all the holy places. He came to Prabhasa, there he met Uddhava, and Uddhava instructed him to go to Haridwar, there Maitreya Rishi would meet him. So he went to meet Maitreya Rishi. And what happened there was our salvation. Maitreya Rishi, what he spoke to Vidura became 2 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam. If you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll see that the interchange between Vidura and Maitreya is so fundamental to the Srimad Bhagavatam. They share with us so many pastimes and so much knowledge to help us in our quest for perfection. So Vidura was chosen by Krishna himself to hear the message of Krishna from Maitreya Rishi. And that is the reason why Maitreya Rishi was present when Krishna shared this message with Uddhava. And so when Maitreya Rishi was in Haridwar, Uddhava came there, and he was so pleased. He accepted Maitreya Rishi as a spiritual master. Although Vidura is more senior and he has more knowledge, but he still accepted Maitreya as a spiritual master and questioned him and brought out the entire message of Krishna through this interchange. And that is what we got to participate in these two cantos in Srimad Bhagavatam. And so this was the wonderful service of Yamarāja to Krishna in the form of Vidura. And it is said that when Vidura was actually on this planet, one of the sons of Kashyapa and Aditi, his name was Aryama, he was actually taking care of Yamarāja's responsibilities while Yamarāja was as Vidura in this pastime of Krishna. So it is said that when Yamarāja, as I already mentioned, he is in charge of all the living entities. He's not in charge of any of the others. When Yamarāja sent his associates, the Yamadutas, to bring Ajamila to him in the Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 6, you'll see, when he sent him to bring Ajamila, that was the one time when there was a mistake that was made. And it was not really a mistake. It was the will of the Lord, right? So Ajamila was a very sinful person. He had performed very wonderful service in his early years as a Brahmana, but then because of bad association, he fell into material challenges. He got attracted to women, and he got into all kinds of sinful activities. And so he was qualified to go to the hellish planets. He was qualified, mind you. And so it was right of Yamarāja to send the Yamadutas to bring Ajamila to him, right? It was perfect. It was what was needed because of his sinful activities. But then what happened was that Ajamila had a youngest son whose name was Narayana. And so Ajamila, seeing these Yamadutas coming, because at the last moment, when you're about to leave your body, trust me, you will see the Yamadutas come for you if they come for you. Of course, in this group, nobody is going to see the Yamadutas, that's for guaranteed. Nobody will, because that's Krishna's guarantee to all of us. So, but when Ajamila saw the Yamadutas, then he cried out the name of his youngest son, who he was very attached to, Narayana, Narayana. Okay? And as soon as he said Narayana, it is said that even if one says Narayana unintentionally, but sincerely, because he was crying out to Narayana very sincerely, to his son Narayana very sincerely, it was from deep down. It was not just a lip service. Deep down, it was coming Narayana, right? And Lord Narayana, he himself, Shriman Narayana himself, said, he's calling to me. Although he was calling to his son, he said, he's calling to me. So he immediately dispatched the Vishnu Dutas and said, stop it. This person does not deserve to go to hell. He's already purified. He took my name. So no way should he be taken to Yamarāja. He must come to me. And so when the Vishnu Dutas come, at that time, they stop the Yamadutas, and the Yamadutas are very confused because it has never happened that when Yamarāja sends someone, that they can be stopped. The Yamadutas cannot be stopped. When Yamarāja sends them to bring someone, it cannot be stopped. And so they were very confused that who are these people who can come and supersede Yamarāja? There's no one higher than Yamarāja. As far as they were concerned, there's no one higher than Yamarāja. And so they said, who are you to stop us? This person's life has been such that he belongs to Yamaraj. He falls within his jurisdiction and we are entitled to take him. How come you are stopping us? And then the Vishnu Dutas told them that you need to go back to Yamaraj and understand from him why you cannot take him. He has mentioned the name Narayana. He is now out of your jurisdiction. You cannot even touch him. You cannot take him. And so these Vishnu Dutas gave Ajamil an extra span of life in which he perfected himself and he went back to the spiritual world. But these Yamadutas, they came back to Yamaraj very confused. They were very confused that how come when you send us to bring someone, you're perfect, you know everything about the person. How come someone can come and stop us from bringing him to you? And so at that time, Yamaraj said that I am not the supreme. I am not the supreme. There is someone who is much higher than me, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I am just his servant. I am serving him. And so if the Supreme Person says that this person belongs to him, then you must never argue it. You must never in any way stop that person from being taken. Then he is no longer within our jurisdiction. And he said, he was describing, he said that the order carriers of Lord Vishnu, he describes it this way, the order carriers of Lord Vishnu, who are worshipped even by the demigods, possess wonderfully bodily features, exactly like those of Vishnu, and are very rarely seen. So he says, you are very fortunate that you got to see the Vishnu Dutas. You're very fortunate that you got to see the Vishnu Dutas. They are rarely seen and they are as beautiful and have the same bodily features like Lord Vishnu himself. And the Vishnu Dutas, they protect the devotees of the Lord from the hands of all enemies. They protect them from envious persons and even from my jurisdiction. Dharmaraj says, even from my jurisdiction, they are protected. And they're protected from all natural disturbances. He warned the Yamadutas that these Vishnu Dutas are meant to be respected. You must pay obeisances to them just like the demigods do. Right? And not only should the Vishnu Dutas be respected, but the person that they come to take, that person is also to be respected. Because he is definitely a true devotee of the Lord. Otherwise, the Vishnu Dutas would not come there. And so you must always be respectful to Vishnu Dutas and to the devotees of the Lord. Because the devotees of the Lord are very, very special. We have no way, we have no jurisdiction over anyone, any of them. And in this message that he gives to the Yamadutas, there's a very wonderful verse that he recites. I'm just going to read that verse. Dharmantu sakshat bhagavat pranitam navai vidur rishayo napi devaha nasiddha mukhya sura manushyaha kuto nu vidyadha charana dayaha. So he says that all religious principles are established by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not by me. All religious principles are established by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And not the rishis who occupy the topmost planets, not even the demigods or siddhalokas or what to talk of asuras or human beings or vidyadharas or charanas, no one can make up religious principles. That is an offense. Religious principles only comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I am also under those religious principles. I am also guided by those religious principles, and I also have to act according to those religious principles. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the final authority. He is above me. And so all religious principles come from him only. My dear servants, then he goes on to say, my dear servants who are as good as my sons, just see how glorious is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. This is Yamarāja who is saying this. Because just by saying Narayana, Ajamila, who had led a life of sin, was delivered. Just by once chanting the name of Narayana sincerely, he was delivered. Then all we devotees who have dedicated our lives to chanting the holy names of the Lord, do we have anything to fear? We should be fearless, and we should propagate Krishna consciousness fearlessly, because we are protected. We are protected by the Lord and all his associates. All the avatars who come, they all protect the devotees of the Lord. So where is the reason for being fearless, for being fearful? Just the chanting of the name of the Lord sincerely should make us so fearless that we should be prepared to handle any situation under any circumstances, knowing that the holy name is with us. And so this is what Yamarāja is telling his own Yamadutas. Let's see how easily one is relieved from all sinful reactions just by chanting the holy name of the Lord, chanting his qualities and activities. And he said this is the only process recommended for relief from sinful reactions. This is the only process. You don't need anything else. Just chanting the holy names of the Lord sincerely is alone enough to purify us and take us back into the spiritual world. There was one devotee who asked Srila Prabhupada that we have been chanting, right? How long will it take for us to be purified and to return home back to Godhead? You know what Prabhupada said? 1 minute. That was Prabhupada's answer. 1 minute. He said, just once, if you chant the holy name of the Lord purely with sincerity, you will go back to the spiritual world. It takes just 1 minute. It does not matter what else you did throughout your life. Just that 1 minute, if you sincerely chant from the bottom of your heart the holy name of the Lord, you will go back to the spiritual world. This is our Srila Prabhupada. And so Yamarāja, in that same mood, is telling his Yamadutas that just if you chant the holy name of the Lord, all sinful reactions are removed, as in the case of Ajamila. He didn't even chant Mahamantra through 40 years or 30 years, right? In that last moment, he was able to call out to Narayana. Now, please don't remain in this illusion that in the last moment you will be able to call out to Narayana. Okay, because he was blessed by the Lord. Why was he blessed by the Lord? Because he had performed tremendous sadhana in the early years of his life, and Krishna doesn't forget. And so that is the reason why the Lord was able to give him the holy name. And of course, that divine intelligence also came to him, that he named his son Narayana. Nowadays, we name our sons Bobby, Tobby, Lobby, God knows what, right? But in the olden times, we always used to give God's names to our children. And there was a reason for that. Because even if we are attached to our children, if we take their name like Ajamila did, then the Lord takes it as if I called out to him. And like Ajamila was delivered, we will get an extra span of life and we will also be delivered. But we can't depend on that. So we sincerely need to chant every day. Please don't take this as a back door, because it might not work. That door may not open when you try to open it. So don't depend on that, okay? Continue to chant. But here you see that through this wonderful message of Ajamila, we are learning how important the holy name is. Because just by taking the holy name once, Ajamila was delivered. And then Yamaraj goes on to say, my dear servants, please do not approach such devotees. These words are so beautiful, so I'm actually reading, okay? My dear servants, please do not approach devotees, for they have fully surrendered to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Don't approach devotees, even by mistake. They are equal to everyone, and their narrations are sung by the demigods and inhabitants of Siddhalok. So the devotees of the Lord are glorified by the demigods and and residents of Divalok. In fact, you all know, I'm sure, that the demigods are envious of the devotees of the Lord. They themselves want to come to the earth planet so that they can chant the holy names, perform devotional service, and go back to the spiritual world. Unfortunately, because of some desires they had, they are in the heavenly planets as demigods, and they will have to take another birth in which they will be given an opportunity to perform devotional service and then maybe go back. But they have to take one more birth. But the devotees of the Lord, they are at the threshold of the spiritual world. They're walking into the spiritual world. And so the demigods, they are also respectful to these devotees. They pay obeisances, they glorify these devotees. That is why Yamarāja is saying that their narrations are sung by demigods and inhabitants of Siddhalokas. They are always protected by the club of the Supreme Person, and therefore Lord Brahma and I, and even time factor, are not competent to chastise them. Just see the words that Yamarāja is using, such wonderful words. He's saying, not even I nor Brahma, who is the secondary creator of this whole universe, even we are not qualified to chastise the devotees of the Lord. That will result in our fall down. That's how high Yamarāja places the devotees of the Lord. And finally, he says, here is what makes him a Mahajan. This last part, please listen very carefully. This is what makes him a Mahajan. Lord Yamarāja himself took responsibility for the offense committed by his servants. Because the Vishnu Dutas came and the Yamadutas argued with them as to why they are stopping them from taking, he considered that as an offense. Because when the Vishnu Dutas come, the Yamadutas should immediately humbly withdraw and return. And so he took this as an offense on behalf of these Yamadutas. So it's clearly said, Yamarāja took upon himself the responsibility for the offense committed by his servants. So although Yamarāja is above offenses, right, his servants practically with his permission, because he gave them the permission, that's why when they went to arrest Ajamala, which was a great offense. So two things. One, that Yamarāja felt, I committed an offense by sending the Yamadutas. And second, the Yamadutas were arguing with the Vishnu Dutas. And so he was ready to take the offense upon himself. He was ready to take the offense upon himself, right? If a servant makes an offense, the master is punishable. This is what Yamarāja believes or says. If a servant makes an offense, the master is punishable because the master is responsible for the actions of the Yamadutas. And Yamarāja prayed with folded hands to the Supreme Lord Narayana. He actually prayed to the Supreme Lord Narayana that please excuse us in our lack of knowledge and in our lack of understanding of this situation. We have committed this offense. And so we please request you, please excuse us, please forgive us. And if there is any punishment for this offense, then please let it come to me instead of my servants who are like my sons. This is what makes Yamarāja a Mahajan. This is what is so glorifying about Yamarāja. He is truly Dharmaraj. He truly understands the principles of religion and he truly lives by these rules of dharma. He lives strictly by this code of conduct. And so on this day, when we are glorifying Yamaraj, we should look at Yamaraj as a devotee of the Lord, as a pure Vaishnava, and we should pay our obeisances to Yamaraj. He is paying obeisances to us because we are devotees of the Lord. And so it's incumbent upon us to pay obeisances to him because he's also a devotee of the Lord. He's a great Vaishnava. And so we should pay obeisances to Yamaraj and beg for his mercy, that by his mercy we may also get to serve our Lord, his Lord, in the same manner that he is able to serve. With complete dedication, with complete sincerity. And so we should actually take shelter. We take shelter of the Lord and we take shelter of his devotees as well. So if Yamaraj is a great Vaishnava and he's a great devotee, then we can take shelter of him and ask him for his blessings. We take blessings of great sages, we take blessings of sannyasis, we should take blessings of Dharmaraj, Yamaraj too. Because we have nothing to fear, as we've just seen, we have nothing to fear. We are protected by the Lord himself. So Yamaraj is not something to fear, but someone to befriend. Because through his blessings, we can also achieve that kind of position where we can serve the divine couple. So with that, I would like to end this session. I know I've gone a little longer. Please forgive me. I'm not sure what the time period is, but if I have said something that is not pleasing or something in error, that is because of my failings. After all, I'm human. I'm limited to the four faults of all human beings. And so oftentimes, I sometimes get carried away and say things which may or may not be very pleasing, but if I did, I beg forgiveness and I pay humble obeisances to all the devotees who are gathered here. And please, please, please bless me so that I may continue to serve you to the best of my ability. Hare Krishna, Dandavats Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for that wonderful,
Thank you so much.
for that wonderful class, Prabhu. It was actually, you said, yeah, if it was not pleasing, and I was just about to say it was extremely pleasing, Prabhu, to hear the narrations and to hear the descriptions of Yamaraj ji, and the way you put it all together, Prabhu. It was first class. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It
You're
was
very
really,
kind to
really
me.
it was really such a pleasure, Prabhu. Every time you speak, it's always first class, and it just gets better, and it's like nectar, Prabhu. It's like nectar, and we really always look forward to hearing from you and having your association and being with you, Prabhu. So thank you so much. Prabhu, do you have some time maybe for a question or two?
Sure, Prabhuji, I'll try.
Okay. So dear devotees, if there's anyone who would like to ask a question or leave a comment or realization, you may raise your hand and we can give you an opportunity to ask a question. I do see a question has come in online. So let me just pull that up. So Prabhu, I think you may have touched on this during the class, but the question is Yamaraj also a position like the Devatas that can be attained, or is he an eternal associate of the Lord?
Yamaraj is an eternal associate of the Lord. His position is not like the other demigods. As far as I know, that is not a position that can be attained.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. I don't see anyone. Okay, I see one hand raised. Yes, Purna Chandra, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, if you are ready, you may go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for wonderful class. I have a question regarding the in the lecture you have mentioned that when devotee leaves the body, Yamdutas, they don't come. So it's kind of a technical question. When someone is leaving the body, when Yamdutas comes and they take out the soul, what about the devotees? I mean, how it is handled? And I've also, if we read in the Shrimad Bhagavatam about the Dundukari story, he was in the bamboo hearing Shrimad Bhagavatam for 7 days. So after Yamdutas, they take out the soul. Does the soul stays in this world for 12 days or 10 days and then they go, or how it is, if you can explain that?
It's not a well-defined process. It's not that one can be in his waiting for his next form. He may be waiting for a short period of time. He may be waiting for a long period of time. There are a lot of factors that come into play, right? So it's not very easy to say that, okay, one will get his next body within a week's time. Sometimes his body is ready and he immediately takes on his next body. Sometimes he has to wait for a long time. It is said that one who commits suicide, he does not get a body for a very, very long time, right? In the same way, if one is suddenly leaving his body through an accident or something, right? He may or may not get another body immediately. Like Prabhupada said about one devotee who was in an accident, that devotee actually took another form, a human form in London, actually. There's a beautiful story behind it, right? And so when the devotees asked Prabhupada what happened to him, so Prabhupada said he's already taken another birth, he's taken another form. So we cannot exactly say as to when or how one gets a form and when one gets a form. There are so many factors that come into play. Within our short material knowledge span, it's impossible for us to determine that. It's not clearly defined as such. But a devotee does not come within the purview of, Prabhupada often said this, and you can also read it in the Srimad Bhagavatam in his purports also. Prabhupada says that the devotee never comes under the jurisdiction of Yamarāja. And so a sincere devotee who Krishna blesses, it is said that he goes into Krishna's Nitya Leela. That means he goes wherever Krishna is performing his pastime, right? And then after those pastimes, he returns back to the spiritual world. So one time I heard that it was said that that's like a training session. For returning to the spiritual world, you go through this training session and then you get to go back to the spiritual world. But you enter into Krishna's Nitya Leela in some form or the other. So that's what happens to a sincere devotee. If one is not able to achieve that goal in this lifetime, then the Bhagavad Gita says one gets a higher form of life, higher position, higher form of life. He may take birth in a Brahmana family, or he may take in an aristocratic family, where he doesn't have to be concerned about his material needs and he can focus on his devotional sadhana, and in that lifetime achieve perfection. So there are so many different things that could happen based on one's position at the time of leaving his body. If one was sincere in his sadhana, if was sincere in his devotional service and attracted the mercy of the Lord, then the Lord takes care of him. And if he does not achieve that also, then also the Lord takes care of him by giving him another opportunity. And one who is not involved in any kind of devotional service, then of course, as we discussed, he is taken care of by Yamadutas, by Yamaraj. And it is said that there are three ways that Yamaraj deals with them. One is he can send them to the hellish planets. The second thing is he can give them birth on the earth planet. And the third is that they get to drink Soma Rasa and go to the heavenly planets. It is described that way. In Prabhupada's purport also is described that way. So three ways that Yamaraj deals with living souls. So what determines what happens to a particular living entity? It's very difficult for us to say. We cannot say that because I'm sure that there are so many factors beyond our understanding that come into play, which determines the next destination of the living entity. Does that answer your question, Prabhuji? I'm not sure if I answered
Yes,
the
yes,
question.
that answers. Makes sense, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Sure.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Purna Chandra Prabhu, for the very interesting question, and Shyam Bihari Prabhu for their most amazing explanation. It was very well for us, Prabhu. Thank you so much. I did see one hand raised, Rohini Madhu Mataji, but then the hand was put down. If still would like to ask a question, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. Yeah, I got the answer from Shyam Prabhuji. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted to add one point London story, like reincarnation. So he remembered, when Mataji, so Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam. So he got that lady farm next. Yeah.
Correct. I didn't want to go too much into that story.
Yeah,
But
yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
And
Thank
that
you,
is a
Mataji.
true story. The facts have been established beyond a doubt.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for that insight. And yes, I very well aware of the pastime or lila you are referring to. It's very interesting and intriguing to learn about these happenings, especially in our devotional life. So yes, Prabhu, thank you so much, Prabhu, for being with us once again and always supporting ISKCON Atlanta by coming on and speaking and giving your time. And we've had you on the series many times, and each time you've never let us down. You've always enlightened us, and I feel each time I listen to you, I walk away from the class knowing more on that particular personality or on that subject matter. So thank you so much, Prabhu. We really do appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you in person for the upcoming festivals this week, Diwali and Govardhan Puja. And we look forward to seeing you on this forum again, giving more wonderful classes. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. I just want to say that I'm just a parrot repeating what Srila Prabhupada said and what the other great sannyasis and sages have said. So all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to our gurus and spiritual masters, and all glories to our Guru Parampara. Hare Krishna, Dandavas
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for those wonderful words. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So we'll move along now, dear devotees. We have a few announcements that we have to make before we conclude the program. So if you don't mind just sticking around and being there, listening to some of these announcements. So this is a big one. We have a Shravanam Kirtanam Utsav that will be happening this upcoming weekend on November 4th to November 7th. It will be 24-hour kirtans on each one of those days. We have wonderful kirtanias in Atlanta, which are part of the Kirtan Atlanta team, and different devotees from surrounding areas who will come and grace us with their wonderful kirtans in glorification of our wonderful deity, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev, and Subhadra Maharani and Shri Shri Gauni Tai. The festival will be streamed, and we would like to encourage everyone to please join us in person. It's going to be a really wonderful atmosphere. It's going to be a really wonderful program to partake in. There'll be a lot of service opportunities and a lot of opportunities to hear Krishna Katha and simultaneously be a part of Kirtan. It's a new formula that we have tested before, and we find that it works very nicely. So we are implementing it as a part of ISKCON Atlanta's preaching from Shravanam Kirtan Utsav on November 4th to November 7th. Please join us if you can. More details will be posted online. And also this Thursday, as everyone knows, we will be celebrating the wonderful celebration of Deepavali. That will be on November 4th, and it will be an in-person program starting at 5 p.m. And our guest speaker will be Her Grace Radha Bhav Mataji. And once again, we would like to encourage everyone to please join us in person. It is going to be a wonderful festival, and yes, please try and come. And the very next day, we celebrate the wonderful festival of Govardhan Puja. That is on November 5th, and that is also at 5 p.m. and an in-person program. So both days are in-person programs, and we would like to encourage everyone to please join us. And more details regarding offerings and different sorts of updates will be posted on the WhatsApp group and on Facebook as well. So please keep up to date regarding these festivals via those social media forums.
I think we have posted the message regarding the offerings. So if you can also go back and refer to that message on the WhatsApp groups, you'll be able to see the details of how you can bring in offerings for the particular day. And we will be posting another update probably a day or two from today, and you can check it out. And yeah, there are some instructions. It'll help you get an understanding of how you can bring offerings, but for the most part, it is open to everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Rangesh Prabhu. So yes, I believe the message regarding the offerings for Govardhan Puja have already been posted. So if you go back on the WhatsApp groups and the social media forums, you'll be able to get the details regarding those. So please check that out if you need any more details. And then this Saturday, we'll be having the Shravanam Kirtanam, which is on November 6th. It will start at 12 and it will conclude at 8 p.m. It is an in-person program filled with kirtan and Krishna Katha and Prashadam and association and just a wonderful atmosphere and vibe, a devotional festival. So we'd like to encourage everyone to please come and join us for this amazing festival. And then, obviously, as we all know, on Sunday, Srila Prabhupada's Disappearance Day, November 7th, which we will be having an in-person program as well. It will be starting at 12 and it will be concluding again, once again, at 8 p.m. And we have different activities lined up for that day, offerings to Srila Prabhupada, homages to Srila Prabhupada, glorification of Srila Prabhupada. I mean, obviously, the whole day is dedicated in a glorification of Srila Prabhupada. So please try and join us. It will be a wonderful program to attend. And then coming up next week, as you know, we concluded this week's today, the series on the 12 Mahajans, with Shyam Bihari giving a wonderful explanation, or I should say a detailed narration on description on Yamarāja ji. And it was such a wonderful way to conclude the series. So thank you, Prabhu. And we will be starting a new series coming up next week, which will be entitled The Great Devotees of the Lord. And the first personality which will be covered in that series will be Akura. And that will be on Tuesday and November 9th, starting at the same time at 7 p.m. And our first speaker for that particular series will be His Grace Sachipan Gaura Hari Prabhu. So please join us online. All the links will be posted as per usual during the week for this program. And then for Kartik month on Tuesdays, as we mentioned, we have our midweek program, which we have done today. It will be continuing virtually. On Thursdays, we have in-person programs. The first and last day of Kartik, we just celebrated Balu Astami last Thursday. This Thursday's Deepavali and then Gopa Astami. So every Thursday is an in-person program at the temple, which we would like to encourage everyone to please come and join us. It is an evening program and details are posted on social media and on WhatsApp regarding these particular festivals. And our Sunday program has also commenced in person for about 2 or 3 weeks now. We have begun and it starts at 3:45. So we would like to encourage the devotees to please come for the Sunday program as well.
This Sunday, although, is at 12 p.m. As you all know, we just covered that. Just for this week, we have a different schedule, which we'll be posting again. I think some of you have seen the announcements, but the other regular Sundays will be at 3:45.
Yes. Yeah, so this week with the Kirtan festival, obviously the schedule is a bit different, but with moving forward after the festival, it will continue as per normal as shown on the slide here. But this week's festival details are a bit different. So please check out our social media for that, for those particular updates and details. And then obviously in the month of Kartik, we have daily programs happening. We have a virtual morning program, which starts at 3:30 a.m. and finishes at 7 a.m. every morning, which is led by His Grace Adigadara Prabhu, which consists of chanting japa and reciting ashtakams and prayers and reading Bhagavatam. It's really such a wonderful program to be a part of. It really gets one so inspired and motivated to practice their sadhana during such a wonderful time of the day with the devotees, in this ocean of devotees. And then right after that, we have the Venugit class, which is given by His Grace Amarendra Prabhu, which starts at 7 a.m. and concludes at 8 a.m. and that's every morning. and that's directly after the virtual morning program, and that will continue throughout the month of Kartik. I believe we are on day 15 now, if I'm not mistaken, and Prabhu has been narrating such wonderful nectarine leelas regarding the Venugit and the gopis. So please, if you have a chance, listen to that, and it's also posted on YouTube daily, recorded and posted on YouTube daily. So if you miss it in the morning, you can always get opportunity to check it out on our YouTube page, ISKCON Atlanta. And then at the temple, we have a 6:30 Damuda Astakam and lamp offering program, where devotees are most welcome to come and offer their ghee lamps in the evening and be a part of the Damuda Astakam recitation and chanting. And that all happens from 6:30 to about 7:30. And also at 8 a.m., you are allowed to offer lamps in the morning. That's also an option if you want. And that happens every day. So yes, those are the daily programs. Upcoming festivals, we have Gopa Astami, which will be an in-person program. More details will be posted regarding that. We have Uttana Ekadasi on November 14th and the start of Bhishma Panchaka. And on November 18th is the last day of Damuda Mas, the month of Kartik, and we will be having an in-person program for that as well. So yes, dear devotees, as you see, we have a full lineup for the upcoming days and weeks in this month of Kartik, filled with so many different festivals and activities. And we would like to please encourage everyone to come and join and be with us. And now that the situation regarding the pandemic has kind of settled a little bit and it's more safer out there, we want everyone to please come back to the temple, and so we can have your association and we can get an opportunity to serve and become inspired by one another. So please join us for all these wonderful in-person programs that we have. Would like to encourage everyone, and you can spread the word through your circles as well, and let everybody know that ISKCON Atlanta is back open and is leading some wonderful festivals. So yes, thank you so much. And just to conclude, we will like to send out some prayers for certain devotees around the world. As we all know, ISKCON Bangladesh recently had faced some turbulent times, and few devotees were injured, and even some had left the planet due to these violent attacks that were happening in Bangladesh. So we'd like to, acknowledge and send well wishes and prayers out to them, and His Holiness Jaipataka Maharaj as well, who is facing some health difficulties. We would like to send prayers and well wishes out to him. Her Grace Govardhan Leela Mataji, who is our temple vice president, who's also been facing health difficulties. We like to remember her and send prayers and well wishes out to her. His Grace Shyam Govinda Prabhu and family have been facing some difficulties as well, so we'd like to acknowledge them and send prayers for them and everyone fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. And to everyone we haven't mentioned as well, we'd like to send prayers and well wishes to everyone. We'll chant Hare Krishna 3 times in a prayerful mood for the blessings of these devotees. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yes, so thank you. We would like to send well wishes and blessings to these devotees that we've all mentioned. May they get well, and may Krishna protect them. So yes, we've come to the end of the program now, dear devotees. We will conclude. Thank you for joining us, and we'd like to encourage you to continue joining us on this forum, as well as joining us in person at the temple for all our wonderful festivals. So we will now take leave. Thank you so much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.